first speaker is going to be the infamous John Kean from AgResearch, and the title of John's talk is going to be In Search of the Cheshire Cat Smile. John?
Thank you, Sandy. Now, so I'm John Kean, hello. I like to move around the stage, so somebody signal me if I get out of range, because I find it a bit confining. So anyway, what the heck am I on about? What do all of these species have in common? Any ideas? I'll tell you the answer. We don't know if they're in New Zealand or not. They could well be, or they may not. So some, like the brown marmorated stink bug, may be here already as an invader in a small population. We don't know. Others, like the moose or the blackgrass in the middle, have been introduced in the past, and we're not sure if they're still here or not. And still others, like the South Island kokako or the flax snail there, are species that we've had for a long time, but we don't know if they've gone extinct or not. So over ecological time, populations and species fade in and out like a Cheshire cat from Alice in Wonderland. And you'll remember that the thing about the Cheshire cat is its smile is the bit that appears first and lingers longest as it disappears. So in biosecurity, it's like we're looking for the Cheshire cat smile as it's fading in, okay, so that we can deal with the smile before we have to deal with the cat. In biodiversity, often we're looking for the smile as it's fading out because we're looking for those species at risk or those really rare species in the environment. So the thing is, it's all about the smile, and it's the same smile whether you're working in biodiversity or biosecurity. So here's another stripy character, Wally. Who can see Wally? Oh, nice one. You're wrong. I photoshopped him out. So Where's Wally is bad enough when Wally's in there, but when you don't even know if Wally is there or not, imagine how hard those books would be then. The thing is, that is exactly the problem that is facing MPI on a day-to-day basis, except it's not just one Wally. They've got 14,000 official Wallies, plus a whole lot more unofficial ones. They don't know if their Wallies are in New Zealand or not. How on earth do you find them? It's also the same problem when you're dealing with biodiversity, whether you're looking at inventorying an ecosystem or designing a series of networks or something. The common pattern through ecology is that most species are rare, and rare species are hard to find. It was the same problem, the Where's Wally problem, was the same problem facing this guy, Bernhard Koopman, in the 1940s. So the US Army or Navy or someone, US military, tasked Bernhard Koopman with finding German submarines in the vast North Atlantic Ocean. So there's a picture of the ocean. So luckily, Koopman was a pretty smart guy, despite being a mathematician, and he came up with some really nifty mathematical ways of designing aerial surveys so that you knew exactly what your chance of detection would be if the submarine was there. So can anyone see the submarine? No, you're terrible. There it is. It's really easy. So what we've done, myself and some colleagues, we've taken Bernhard Koopman, we've taken a good dash of veterinary epidemiology, some trapping theory, and a little smidgen of the Reverend Thomas Bayes, and we've cooked them all up in this big pot, boiled them up, and we've come up with this. There they are. This is the tool for seeing things that may or may not be there. Of course, this is just a metaphor. The actual reality is a bunch of mathematical equations and some computer code and stuff, but they don't look so good on the screen. So we're going to be talking about the glasses, and my beautiful assistant here, Sandy, may demonstrate them for you. Just don't look too close at the people in the front row. So how can we use these glasses? Well, one of the first things that we've done is we've helped MPI with an incursion response. This teeny tiny little underground caterpillar was discovered in the vast grasslands of the Waikato. And so we came in with our spectacles and we helped MPI design their delimitation survey, and we successfully found that this thing was too widespread to be eradicated. So by using our X-ray glasses, we were able to save quite a lot of money and make a really important, help MPI make a really important management decision around that. There they are. Now, those naughty caterpillars were breaking the law. And as we all know, crime is got the MMO thing, means, motive and opportunity. And where those intersect, that's where you find your crime. Well, it's the same with invasions, except we've got entry pathways, climate and habitat. And it's where those three things intersect, you can predict you're going to get your invasions. So what we've done with fruit flies, for example, this Mediterranean fruit fly, is we've been able to map that intersection, the MMO for this invasive species. And we can use that map then, along with our X-ray goggles, we can design surveillance systems that address that risk specifically and optimise your ability to find that species. But not only that, we can put a probability, a confidence that we would find a population of a certain size if it comes in. And that's really useful for proving freedom for trade partners or just detecting those things early. Now, there's a lot of different pathways that things can come in, and here's an example. This is the container pathway. Containers come into a port typically, like the one in Auckland there with the square. They can carry all sorts of hitchhikers on them. Gypsy moths, ants, and stink bugs would be good examples. From the port, those containers are taken throughout the city of Auckland there, the yellow dots, to devanning sites where they're opened. So we can map where those risk organisms may be going. We can combine maps from different pathways and different target species to create risk maps for invasion of several species, for example. And then we can use our magic goggles, which my beautiful assistant will now demonstrate. I love this. I have the power. And specifically design optimised surveillance systems using economic information about the costs of each of these things. So here's one that we've done for the forestry sector, where we've looked at a range of different pests and targeted for them where they should be doing their aerial surveys, where they should be doing their forest drive-through surveys, and where they should be having their inspectors out looking up at trees. Now, you may recall a few years ago, 2010, the great white butterfly was found in Nelson. And because of its risk to forage brassicas and to native cresses, the Department of Conservation decided they were going to have a good go at eradicating it. So they went out there, they were knocking door to door, thousands of individual properties, doing visual searches right through Nelson and the surrounding areas. So you can see there the green searches and the red detections that were made over the first 5 years of the program. We could take the information that they were gleaning there, and using our glasses again, we could figure out where the great white butterfly was likely to be in Nelson if it was still there. And over the next year, from June 2015, we targeted those areas specifically until we could show that it was gone. Now, if someone wants an easy question at the end, you could ask me about the pink blob in the middle. We've done the same thing with ants, Argentine ants here in Schoolhouse Bay on Kawau Island, where our glasses allow us to figure out how effective the dogs, the people who were searching, and the traps were at detecting these ants, and over how many surveys, considering what was done in each survey, before we could be pretty confident that there were no more ants left there. So finally, just to note that we can do this with all sorts of other things. We've done it with TB and possums, for example. Koopman did it with these German submarines, for example. It doesn't even have to be alive. What about eDNA? Do you know how good you are at finding that eDNA in the soup that you're looking at? The glasses can help you. So in conclusion, I just I guess my take-home message, I've still got 5 minutes. Damn, I haven't talked for long enough. My take-home message is you don't know what you're missing until you try on some of these glasses. So there you go. So you could be at the top of a biosecurity watchtower looking out for those invading hordes of invasive species, or you could be on your hands and knees looking for an eDNA needle in a biodiversity soup of biodiversity haystack. Either way, you don't know what you're missing until you do some of this work around detectability and surveillance. So I suggest everybody goes out and gets a pair of these, because it's all about the smile. Whether you're coming or going, it's all about the smile. Thank you.
Questions for John?
Barney.
Sorry, John, I just had to ask it. Hey, you didn't tell us, what's the probability of improving your what's the probability of you improving your likelihood of detection with the gogs?
Oh,
Because I want to invest in some.
I've got to say, these ones are, they're pasted onto cardboard, so very small for this. But for the metaphor that they're standing for, it will depend on the system, and it would depend on how optimal your current system is. But for the fruit flies, we think that we can improve things enough that it's worth doing. Yep, for example.
Can you quantify that?
Yes, we can. We can quantify what the current system is doing and what the improved system would be. I think there was a question with Pip over there first.
John, just thinking about the 4.7 million people, can you see an application for these glasses in working with the 4.7 million people, or is this something that is going to be sort of more specialist application? So just sort of thinking about the sort of wider use.
Yeah, that's quite a tricky question, because it's tricky to deal with the 4.7 million unwashed mass kind of thing that we're talking about. Yes, we can definitely use the glasses, but there's going to be some baseline research required around how well people are likely to observe new species in the environment. And of course, when we're talking about 4.7 million, we're not actually talking about 4.7 million. We're mostly talking about a very specific targeted subset of that 4.7 million, which may be farmers or growers or someone who's got more of a vested interest or better eyes. I mean, everybody potentially has a role, but there will be some people who are better than others at achieving our goals in that part. So once we can identify those people and find out how good they are, then we can use some glasses to actually put some numbers around that. Bill had a question over there. No, these are the same goggles, Bill. Yeah, rest assured. Everyone will be wearing them, you'll see.
Hi, John. I wondered whether your goggles are somewhat rose-tinted, in that sometimes by producing all these maps, experts become overconfident in your predictions, and that you've not shown any uncertainty in any of your maps. So the likelihood is that an expert in MPI will say, these are John's models, they must be true, whereas in fact there's uncertainty around all of those, and they might not be looking necessarily in all the right places.
Yep, that's absolutely right, and I haven't shown you any of the sort of sensitivity analysis that we've done around these models, because it's a short talk, and I didn't expect to get through it nearly so quick as I did. But yes, we can look at those uncertainties, and we certainly do. We also try when we're presenting these models to end users to make them well aware of the assumptions that have gone into them, and usually we're actually working with them the whole process. So for example, the The fruit fly stuff was done hand in hand with MPI. The forestry stuff was done hand in hand with the forestry industry. So that helps to overcome a lot of those understanding about the precision of the results and the uncertainties that may be in there.
Well, thanks a lot, John.
Okay. You're welcome.